Amazing. And we are live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone who joins us today. My name is Maria and I will be moderating today's session. Very happy to have here Alessandro Vozza, who's going to talk about love story, how SRE how platform engineering meets service mesh. Before we get started, feel free to just drop in the chat what is the city you're joining us from. I'm joining in from Mexico City. Alessandro, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Amsterdam. It's a great weather today, and I'm ready to enjoy time with my family right after this. So
you guys probably don't know, but this is Alessandro's second webinar for today. So he is an absolute champion in webinars and trainings. Or did you have any other trainings today?
Yeah, tell me about it. No, we just finished a live stream on YouTube. So if you search for Solo.io YouTube channel, we have a monthly HOOT, we call it HOOT. HOOT. So when we invite people from the industry community, we just have a chat, and I think it was fun. Nice. So
I almost got a heart attack when Alessandro joined like 1 minute before the session, but all good. Just a few housekeeping notes. So this webinar will be recorded and we will send over the replay to everyone as well as slides. Feel free to drop in questions throughout the session. We'll keep it 30-minute content and then 15-minute Q&A. Best way to ask questions is in our Q&A channel. You can see it in the, Zoom has their main menu, so please drop in questions over there. But you can also ask questions and connect with Alessandro at the Platform Engineering Slack channel. Let me just drop in the link really quickly here. There you go. If you're still not a part of the Platform Engineering Slack channel, join in. You're missing out on a lot of cool things. But that's it from my side. Alessandro, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria. And let me express again how grateful I am to be here. So I admire the community you built and the effort you put in really, you can feel the passion, right? You can feel the excitement for this kind of technology, this kind of movement, right? It's platform engineering. And also, you guys throw amazing parties. I was at the KubeCon Amsterdam party, and I'm looking forward to Chicago. So you guys know how to party.
Are you coming? Are you
of course, I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming. Yes.
Okay, guys. In case you don't know the party that Alessandro is talking about, he's talking about House of Cube. And we already have the registration open for the next one coming up in Chicago. So feel free to RSVP.
It will be a pleasure. Side note, I like the music. I'm a DJ myself, and I have this concept called Techno Kube, which we do after our KCDs, and it's great we should do like something together. And you're always welcome in Amsterdam. There's Amsterdam Dance event coming up, so please join and let's go dance together. But okay, without further ado, I would like to, after the congratulations and the gratefulness. So today I'm here to tell you a story, right? So I'm like everybody, like this platform engineering thing. It's been around for a while, different names. So this is my take on platform engineering. It's a story about, it's not the typical a platform engineer and the SRE walks into a bar, but it's something like this, right? And then they have a service mesh drink, I would say. So that's me. I live in Amsterdam, so I run the Dutch Kubernetes meetup that brought me where I am now, which is proud to be a Cloud Native Computing Foundation ambassador. We love everything about Cloud Native. We're going to talk about what is Cloud Native and why it's so important. But yeah, that's what I do. And I work for a company called Solo.io. We're really serious about service mesh. We love the technology. We contribute to the open source community of Istio. And in general, check us out. We love to talk about application networking and service mesh. So first of all, let's set some stage, right? So there's a lot of confusion, as in, is this typical thing, you ask 10 people what is platform engineering, you get 11 definition, right? So it's confusing, especially for somebody starting it. And I've been around for a while, but I'm still confused. What is platform engineering? So there's one defining feature for me about platform engineering. So some people call it is the new DevOps. I do know something about DevOps. I opened DevOps Meetup Amsterdam 10 years ago. So I remember the very beginning where and it feels like almost the same, right? So everybody scrambled to understand what is this, or is the good old SRE from the Google book, right? So from the who invented this discipline. There's people before me and after me who will talk about platform engineering. One of my favorite people, or group of people, is the technical advisory group from the Cloud Native Computing Foundation that produce a paper on platform. So please check it out. It's full of information, full of interesting point of views on platform engineering. So there's people that really dedicate almost all their professional life to define what is this. So this is an important piece of it. Of course, platformengineering.org is the place to go. So for me, the defining feature of platform engineering is self-service, right? So if it's not self-service, and this was also the defining feature of cloud, right? So everybody loves the cloud because there's this feeling of independence and freedom, and it's so good not to beg for resources, not to go through a lengthy process. And platform engineering and the internal developer portals, or how they call it today, they bring that to developers. So developers feel empowered and unshackled by the old ways of requesting resources. So characteristic first and foremost, the self-service is fully integrated. So it's important to have your platform as one product, right? So treat your platform as a product that can be tested. Of course, that there are features, there is somebody using your product, your platform, and so you have to listen to your stakeholder and to your users, as I said. And the very focus of why we do all this, right? So why is so important, right? So because developer experience, developer productivity is the new gold, is the new oil, right? So the more you already have these amazing people writing code for you and really bringing you closer to your users, why not using them even more efficiently, even more making them even more productive by using of internal development platform. So this is for me, of course, and these are the values that bring to the table, of course. Cognitive load, it's the bane of every developers. Switching between tasks, switching between interrupts between tasks. This is not good, not helping anyone. And so having this integrated platform where you can see all the services or microservices, as you like, or mid services, is great for your developers and for your bottom line. You deliver consistent value, so everything is meant to increase the output of value. And of course, this is where the community comes in. You can build a community around your internal development portal. You can build a community of users, right? A community of people that share the same interest and value around your application. So that's one thing, and that's some of the values that, in my opinion, makes compelling to implement an internal development platform. So now that you know and you want platform engineering, of course, it's a team sport. You don't go alone. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. So you build these platforms not because you hear that Spotify built one, or you hear that your neighbor has a better one, but you build it because you really believe in the values of sharing and teamwork. Now, so site reliability engineering is a discipline. I see the way I see it. Of course, it's again, like my opinion only. It's a discipline. It's a craft, right? So something that you learn and you use in your daily job. It's very close to what DevOps at least was meant to be. Not a set of tools, not a title for sure, but more like a ethos of working at your job, right? So something that you adopt. You do DevOps. You are not a DevOps engineer, right? So you're an engineer that happen to share the values of DevOps. And for me, as a site reliability engineering, it's really a discipline, a set of standards and thinking that brings you close to the goal of keeping the lights on and keeping the bottom value always producing. So automation, this comes from DevOps. So that's why there's no overlap really, right? So we all share the same values. Slightly different focus, of course. Probably a DevOps or somebody that does DevOps has a bit more focus maybe on CI/CD, and while an SRE has more focus on observability and uptime. But we really overlap. We really are the same people, the same crowd, the same tribe, right? So that's why it's so important. So, and of course, like SRE has value something. We call it uptime, right? So because Google, of course, all things started there. For a advertisement platform or e-commerce, uptime is king. Uptime is the name of the game. But if you are another kind of company that's deals with something else, maybe you have other metrics, right? Maybe you value more customer satisfaction or I don't know, so something else that is not just uptime. Uptime is there to remind that there is a metric that really matters to you. There always is some metric that really matters to you, should matter to your business, and conversely should matter to you. Sharing, again, I read this and I think like this is DevOps 2023. This is DevOps, I don't know, 4.0, 5.0, who's counting, right? So it is a new incarnation of the principle of caring for what you do, right? So caring for your application, caring for your business, and caring for the job that your colleagues do, right? So it's something that really resonates with me. We can't talk about SRE if we don't talk about the metrics that matter. So the deployment frequency, the lead time for changes, and the change failure rate, right? So these are, I still, of course, like I don't pretend everybody knows, but these are very important. It's something that even in a new job, in a new environment, or when I set a new project, these are like the guiding lights of SRE, right? So something that really you can use in your daily job to guide you to be the most efficient, and the time to restore, of course. So let's change gear. So we know what is platform engineering, we know what is SRE, and this is a different crowd, right? So I follow the YouTube channel. I see a lot of different topics, and that's why I really like to spend time watching the videos from this channel. And I see less cloud native, or at least the verb or the name cloud native throw around. So I thought, okay, let me define what is cloud native for you. And cloud native there is a definition, of course. It's of course the Cloud Native Complete Foundation doesn't have the monopoly of cloud native for sure, but definitely is made of people that spend a lot of time thinking about it. So, and you can think of cloud native as API centric microservice architecture, very possibly deploying containers, just because containers are the best way to package applications for microservices, and of course, like all things in the automation DevOps salsa. So this is what cloud is. It's very vague for sure. I think it's by design. Even the definition on GitHub is kept very vague. This is because it represents the new way of thinking about applications. It's not about how you deploy application, how you treat or write applications, is the why, right? So it's the focus that's changed. Everybody knows this, of course. This is the cloud native landscape. It's confusing, as in it's a big market. It's a big house. There are 170 something projects now under the cloud native, and the landscape collects even more of them. It's more like just a puzzle made of all the pieces of all the little and big and small companies that have some stakes in cloud native, and there you go. We put it on a gigantic poster, and and then you can see how much interest. So for me, this speaks to me as in, this is awesome. Everybody wants a piece of it. Everybody has something to say. Everybody is building tools around cloud native. This is really important. So this is where, when I first saw this, I said, wow, I want to be here. I want to be here. There are so many things I don't know. I want to. It tickled my imagination, my interest. The late Danko, of course, called Kubernetes a platform to build platforms. So we are here to talk about platforms, right? So we are definitely in the business of building platforms. He was quoting Kelsey Tower, at least that's I think the original quote. But this is important, right? So, and if you are in the platform business, if you're a platform engineer and you want to build a proper platform with all the characteristics that we talked about before, definitely Kubernetes and all the projects around the cloud native orchestrator should matter to you. Now, one of these projects and one of these tools is Service Mesh. So we call Service Mesh, I call it at least, a networking platform, right? So I'm here to talk about Service Mesh because my theory or my proposition for you today is that if you learn Service Mesh and if you look really carefully into it, and if you understand the great advantages that come with it, I think you can build a better platform, you do a better job, you do more of a service to your developers by offering them not only a platform to deploy the application, but also an application networking platform, which is the integration of API gateway and Service Mesh and the underlying platform, of course, that covers all the 7 OSI layers, and in general, it covers all the use cases for developers to understand, to manage, to observe, to secure their application. So what is Service Mesh, right? Because mesh really indicates a topology, right? So where all nodes in a graph are connected to each other. That's it. So this is really what mesh does, what Service Mesh does. Imagine now we replace all computers and terminals with microservice application. Bam, you still have the need to have this mesh, this network of nodes talking to each other. So clearly, we all know the fallacy, the false truth of distributed computing, where we assume that the network is this magical place where bandwidth is infinite and I can just rely on the network for everything I need, right? So of course I'm sending a packet, of course it's going to come back, right? So this is all the whole point why the internet was born, to make something reliable out of unreliable pieces. So the routing around failures or redundancy and retransmits, they all come from networking ideas that assume that you can't rely on the network. So believing any of these truths will bring you down, will bring you to something that is not where you want to be. And so this cloud native thing, right? So started right at the right time, right? So it's like if you were around circa 2014, 2015, when Docker came out and the Cloud Native Computing Foundation came along, and all these beautiful tools that now we celebrate came together. You remember there was a lot more talking about the 12-factor apps and how to migrate to monoliths. And now I think it's again like it's more like accepted, right? So who's gonna build a monolith in 2023 or 2024? Only a fool will do that, or at least somebody that doesn't believe in early optimization of monoliths. But so the situation was, we had a bunch of monoliths written in, well, I guess maybe some Java stuff or some the magical application server, the Tomcat and the JBoss of the world. They were kind of encouraging this infrastructure, this way of application, of developing application, where the application server was giving all the opinionated tools, taking away a lot of complexity from the application itself, and taking charge of that complexity. It doesn't work so well. I mean, it works well until you get to some point where you are onboarding a lot of users, and you are definitely for MVP, definitely you should go for more. But at some point there was this push for microservices, right? So now instead of one, now we really have a network of a graph of services that have to talk to each other, possibly through gRPC or simple HTTP request. So this transformation, driven by business and sometimes technical consideration, brought along complexity, right? So how to tame that complexity, and that's where Cloud Native Computing Foundation and a lot of other projects help taming this complexity. Service Mesh is one of them. I'm here to talk about it, what it is, and what it can do for you. So definitely we talk about Service Mesh in the context of Cloud Native and Cloud Native orchestrators, but don't be fooled. We can talk about Service Mesh, and this mesh can extend beyond the container platform. So that's the challenge with microservice, right? So we got all this complexity. It grows exponentially and square, right? So the more nodes you have, the more observation point, the more you have to troubleshooting this is just hell, just doesn't work, right? So how to improve that? Use a Service Mesh as a programmable framework that allows you to observe, secure, and connect microservices. So connect securely, and of course, like manage the complexity of modern applications. Some function that you can get out of the Service Mesh, of course, like a service discovery. So some of these are coming, I mean, straight out of the application server playbook, right? So where you didn't need to think too much about where is the database or where is the this other service. The application server was giving you these tools, while now you have to rely on the server. You can rely on the Service Mesh for the same set of tools. So service discovery, secure service communication, mutual TLS, anyone, and eventually also a fully formed zero trust security architecture, and traffic control and shaping and shifting. What is really interesting to me, it's the programmability of all this, right? So the modern approach, API driven, and when I say API, you always talk about like a Kubernetes native CRDs, right? So all these things, there is an API for it, and there is an object that control these behaviors. That spawn up a whole ecosystem, of course. There's only one, of course, that I really know, but definitely please go on. The idea of Service Mesh is solid, is sound, and definitely I work for a company that has stakes in one of them. This Istio is the latest graduated project from Cloud Native Computing Foundation, but definitely there are more out there that speaks volumes about how good these ideas are, how interesting, how much interest is there, especially now that platform engineering is becoming a more solid discipline and branch. So Istio is one of the most famous, I would say one of the first, or if not the first. So it's a platform to connect, secure, control, and observe. Observability is the big word here, and I'll show you in a moment why it's so important. So definitely this started a long time ago, and this is not over yet. Definitely we are in this honeymoon phase for Service Mesh and for Istio, where really people are starting to realize how much value is there and how much value for platform engineers is there. So yes, as I said, this just got graduated, so it's really an important milestone. Means that the project is mature. There's a very, very mature community around it. So you're all welcome to join. GitHub/Istio/Istio is the place to start, and definitely you can come and talk to us on our Slack. Slack.so.io and Slack.cncf.io are the place where you can talk to us. So what is a Service Mesh? I have 5 minutes left, so I will rush through. So the base idea, and that's the oldest implementation of Service Mesh, the original and still the production upgrade the production level implementation of service mesh is using the Sidecar model. Sidecar model is very common in cloud native computing foundation in the container orchestrators. What if you can inject a proxy next to your application? All of a sudden, you have a way to control the traffic, secure those traffic by, for example, injecting certificates into the proxies, and then make sure that the communication between the services are mediated by mutual TLS. If you have a way to manage those certificates centrally, and in a way, it abstracts the idea of pods and containers and VMs, and you move to more of an idea of a service, a distributed service across your service mesh, where you can control more and observe, because those proxies are also where all the traffic goes in, which means all the requests can be logged, all the metrics can be collected, down to the very, very granular request trace. So you can actually trace requests across your service mesh, follow it along, and get there to see where they end up. You don't stop there. You implement gateways, because why not? You are also the traffic coming in and out of your cluster now can be observed and treated like a in-mesh traffic, and you can gather intelligence about the traffic also through the gateway. So this is also what we do as Solo. We implement. We make it easy for you to arrive there, right? So these are more things to talk about. I don't have 3 hours today, but definitely encourage you to check it out. This is where our company shine, and also Telemetry, of course. But that's where exactly we do our best to make your life easy to adopt service mesh. This is Chiali. It's as you can see, you can visualize this. Everybody can understand this, right? So you can see the requests flowing through and understanding and see where they end up and how much traffic you are making. We talk about Zero Trust just quickly. You can have this white paper. It's on our website. But if you are serious about Zero Trust, we definitely want to talk to you because we think we also have the best security features on the market. Ambient mesh, I'm gonna skip it through because it's topic of another talk, and I want to get to the core of it. So you are a SRE and you are tasked to build a platform, or you're a platform engineer and you are tasked with some SRE tasks. I think you want to have a service mesh. You have to build on top of great platforms, great tools, you can only build, you're only as strong as the weakest link. And if you leave application networking out of the picture, if you leave these important features about security, observability out of your daily job, out of your radar, I think you are doing a disservice to yourself and to your users. So platform engineering should adopt SRE ideas and practices and ethos, should implement a service mesh in their platforms, because you want to control the traffic, you want to have visibility, what my users are doing, what are the services that are most used, is there a hot zone, is there some problem arising, brewing in my platform. And then of course, SREs can leverage service mesh for observability, security, and much, much more. I didn't talk about all the chaos engineering that service mesh enables, all the interesting intelligent routing, all the layer 7 policies that you can apply to your service mesh, but you can figure it out by yourself. It's really, really great. So you can think of, I'll leave it there. Something that you can think of is like this well-architected or the ideal platform. This is my opinion, of course. You can swap these tools with one another. You don't need to use Istio if you don't like it. Backstage is probably can be replaced. Maybe the one that is least possible to replace, but we'll think about that. Definitely Argo is one of our favorite tool, also as solo. And you should think of security as with secret stores and automating everything. So this is what we have. We do have also an integration with Backstage, a solo. We just released it. There's a blog post out there on our website, and we'll help you integrating your platform with the underlying infrastructure, as in the IP gateway that we help you set up, with internal developer platform based on Backstage. So it's something we can talk about for sure. And I will leave you with my opinion, which is this service mesh really ties my platform together. Big Lebowski is my favorite movie of all time. So I leave you with this quote. And some tips to build a platform: stay humble, close to human experience. So really think that there's a real person on the other side of the screen, right? So there's somebody you're building for, and that's fellow humans. That's the best thing ever. Helping each other, helping fellow humans is the most rewarding job of all. Start easy. Don't shoot for the star. Just build something that is usable from day one, and get security and observability right from the start, because these are important things. Don't leave them as afterthought. Service Mesh helps you there. You get the metrics out of the box. The moment you install it, you're ready to scrape it for metrics. And don't forget the people you are building for, and plan for rapid adoption and build a people first platform. And if you can, use a Service Mesh. And if you really want to use one, I think Istio is a great candidate. Please. I'm always saying I'm on a mission to install a Service Mesh on every class and every platform. So I hope I fulfill part of that mission today. So some references, I'll share the deck with you all, and I think I'm done. I think I slightly overshoot it, right? So
very nice, very on time. And we started a bit like 1 minute later. But thank you so much, Alessandro. And let's get to the questions, the most interesting part. So the first question we have here, thanks. What you said about Service Mesh, is it creates those blocks? So how it's different than Terraform or CloudFormation? Like, can you give some small real example?
Yeah, well, definitely they are orthogonal, right? So CloudFormation, Terraform, they're great to build the platform, right? So they are tools to automate the creation of the platform and the management, of course, like a Terraform, CloudFormation. They too tools to operate your platform. But Service Mesh doesn't interfere with those. Actually, you can install Service Mesh with Terraform. You can install a cluster with Terraform and then deploy Service Mesh with it. Definitely, you can use both without fear of interfering. We are really orthogonal. CloudFormation, Terraform are automation tools, and we are application networking platform. So definitely not overlapping.
Cool. Next question, what is the starting point to work on Service Mesh? Infrastructure experience is required, and what languages are needed to be learned?
That's a great question. Not really. You don't need any experience. I mean, if you can operate a Kubernetes cluster, you are already on a good path to just start using Service Mesh. So it's literally one command. We have a Istio CTL command line, so you just download it and do Istio CTL install. It's literally that simple by design. So the community came with these ideas of having really frictionless entry to Service Mesh. One command, you go for it. Of course, it's just the beginning, but you don't need any language. It is written in Go. Of course, if you want to contribute, it would be nice to know some of Go and a bit of Rust. But definitely, myself, I don't know much about programming, so I'm a happy member of the community.
Happy member. How would you describe process of migration live production cluster to use Service Mesh?
Great question again. So a lot of interesting questions. So the service mesh adoption is not a big bang kind of thing, right? So that's also quite in the beginning. I struggle to understand, but if I do it, if I install it, then I have to use it. Right? No, not at all. And by the way, this ambient mode makes it even easier to onboard application into the mesh. So install it. Nothing seems to be happening really, until you actually tag your namespaces, tag your application to be onboarded in service mesh. So you have this slow, at your pace adoption curve. You can always go back, remove the label from the namespace, and the application is out of the mesh. So it's very simple to get started and to be onboarded on top.
Cool. And the next question, does Google, Amazon, Facebook use service mesh?
Well, Google came up with the idea of Istio, right? So the project started at Google and IBM and other companies. It's they definitely use it, and they are big proponents of the idea behind service mesh in general, and Istio in particular. It's a healthy, vibrant community behind Istio and general service mesh. So it's I cannot speak for Facebook or Amazon. I could speak for Microsoft. I used to work there. Definitely looking into many different service meshes. Even invented one, unfortunately abandoned recently, but definitely getting on board with the Istio community.
What do you think of using Istio with an orchestrator like AWS ECS? Is it feasible?
Yeah, again, these are orthogonal. Maybe I wasn't clear. So this service mesh is something you install on top of your cluster, right? So it's a add-on. It's something that you have to explicitly enable. Cloud providers like I'm not sure AWS, but definitely Azure is a new preview add-on for Azure Kubernetes Service, where you can enable Istio, right? So something that you take it as a optional, I don't know, the leather seat in your car, or the 4WD drive, right? So it's something that gives a boost to your clusters, to your platform. There is a price to pay. There is no free lunch in computing. Somebody has to, of course, pay for the extra computing power. But the advantages of using service mesh are so far outweigh the disadvantages and the little annoyances. Of course, like resource consumption is one. Those annoyances are being addressed by the community, by Istio, with the ambient mesh, and I'll be very happy to talk about it.
Next question. Thank you for the talk. Service meshes are really nice, specifically for routing and security. We use Istio, and currently we are exploring how to implement multi-cluster meshes. Do you have experience with that kind of setup? Do you have any advice?
Yes, so this is exactly what we do. So this is our product, Glue. It builds on top of the open source Istio by easing the experience of running multi-cluster service meshes. It's definitely not a walk in the park, but this is all point of being able to manage networking at the cluster level and across clusters is one of the selling point of service mesh. Kubernetes cluster, even the very principle of Kubernetes networking makes it like a island that is isolated, right? So the Kubernetes never really came up with any feasible idea about how multiple clusters should communicate, and that's where service mesh found the niche and really solved the problem. So yes, we can help you with that. Our product helps, but in general, you can also achieve this with open source. But of course, if you don't have a PhD in service mesh, we can help you.
Next question is, if my workloads are mostly batch jobs, AI trainings, etc., I don't see how service mesh can be helpful in this environment. It seems to me that it's mostly useful for online services.
Okay, I beg to differ. Batch jobs are for sure computing intensive and memory intensive, but they do communicate with network. They do need to upload, download models, communicate intensively between themselves. In general, they are not. It's not always true that they run in vacuum or completely isolated. There is always some need for networking, exchanging information across the network. So I think also for AI workloads, service mesh can bring real advantages. It's we're happy to validate these ideas. All right. So and again, achieving those advantages like control, for example, maybe you do want to secure the traffic in and out of your batch AI workloads, your PyTorch and so on, because sometimes they deal with private data. So you do want to have a layer that secure communication between workers and training models.
Nice. Have you tried other service meshes than Istio? Can you connect services running outside the cluster to the service mesh?
Yes, definitely. So I did try my fair share of Linkerd and Open Service Mesh when I was at Microsoft. It was a great little project. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore. But yes, I did try those. And as I said, Service Mesh is really ubiquitous. So you can connect workloads solo as a integration for Lambdas. So you can connect AWS Lambdas to your Service Mesh as it was part of the same network. And this is a very powerful feature, very powerful add-on that you can leverage. So yes, definitely, we are not talking only cluster. We're talking about virtual machines. We're talking about everywhere you can you have visibility over the network, you can communicate. You can exchange data.
Cool. What are the job opportunities for a person with service mesh experience, and what sort of money can be made with service mesh experience? Any freelance jobs that can be looked into?
Great question. So, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not going to comment on how much money you can make. It really depends on your personal skills. I mean, I'm talking about how good you are with people. That's my personal experience. I'm an introvert. I'm a scientist, actually. I moved to this sector 10 years ago. I never looked back. It's a great place to be if you know how to deal. If you're a nice person, right? So it's technical things. Technical knowledge wins almost everywhere. It's good to be on top of technology. This quote really hit me when I was a kid. Technology, either you control it or it controls you. So you better learn the new things. If you are not reading about generative AI today, you are missing out. You are, please go and read about service mesh, about things like the BPF and Cilium and all the cool stuff that is happening in cloud native. And beyond, of course, so generative AI comes to mind, but also a lot of try to stay up with technology, and it pays off big time, I can tell.
Career advice from Alessandro. Cool. By the way, finally, Kubernetes 1.28 will allow to have proper sidecar containers, comment from Marcus. Thus far, especially when using Kubernetes jobs, the Istio sidecar proper termination is just a workaround. How do you deal with that?
Yes. So we do have, this is a very good question. This person must know what he's talking about. So the sidecar in general was not a first-class citizen in Kubernetes, so to say. Like, let's put it this way. So the sidecar was very useful, but not treated as the sidecar. So it was treated just as another application container within a pod. This led to a bunch of embarrassing situations where you kill a job and then the sidecar keeps running and the job never dies. So definitely in 128, this feature came, I think GA, yes. A sidecar will be will have a special place in a pod, the pod of a Sidecar, the place of a Sidecar, where the Sidecar life cycle is not going to influence the life cycle of the pod. So that's great. By the way, the Istio community, except for this, of course, the obvious use case of jobs, definitely came out with some nifty tricks and workarounds. They work, and there's also one reason we also think that ambient mesh, it's the future. It's more less invasive of your application, less AV on the resources. So that's definitely something you should look into, and I'll be happy to talk.
Cool. The next question, can you show any demo? So just briefing why Alessandro didn't show any demo. We usually brief our speakers not to show any demo, but I'll leave it to you, Alessandro, whether you want to.
We have a lot of demos on our YouTube channel, so.io, on YouTube, and challenge accepted. Tell me which demo, give me a couple of days and I'll come up with. So now we are all engineers in Solo. It's a very engineering heavy, very engineering oriented organization. We love demos. We live in the terminal. We love to show something real anytime you want. You pick the time and place. So.
Next question, can you elaborate on what you said about the extra computing power needed? As far as I know, service mesh offloads, hopefully, existing functionality, for example, distributed tracing to a Sidecar in the same pod.
Yes, definitely. So this is one of the main criticisms of adopting service mesh, and we realize that that's one reason ambient mesh is the answer to those concerns. It does consume. I mean, there's no free lunch, as I said, right? So you do need to run a proxy, an envoy proxy, small as it can be. It's still a process, right? So it's a process in the network namespace, in the process namespace of the pod. So it's not definitely free. And the more it processes, the more policies you apply, the more mutual TLS handshakes needs to do, the more resources is going to consume. So, and it scales, unfortunately, linearly, right? So you have 10 applications, you got 10 proxies, you got 1,000 pods, you got 2,000 containers. So it's not very favorable scaling in a way. So you could end up being a victim of your own success and the adoption of service mesh. In numbers, this is the idea, right? So you have to double the number of containers that you run. Not ideal, especially if you go planet scale, you go, you plan for big scale. And that's why exactly ambient mesh is the answer to this concern. So instead of running proxy per pod, right? So a container for every application pod you have, now you're running one container, one pod per node, and that process the whole node fleet of applications. And this improves security for sure, improves performance. We don't have hard numbers. Ambient was just released, it was announced in September last year. And then, of course, like when you announce something, it's still like you announce it a bit premature, So it really now is in beta, so it's getting there. And we don't have hard numbers, but we already know that it's beating the Sidecar model quite consistently in many benchmarks.
Nice. If anyone has any other questions, you have 10 seconds to type it in. While I wanted to share our YouTube channel, platform engineering. Somebody already did it in the beginning. Thank you. And there are a lot of talks regarding platform engineering and other technologies, how to build your platform, how to build your internal developer platform, reference architectures and stuff like it. But so sign up. We have the streams every week. Next week we have the webinar around database guardrails, the new era for developers and databases. So we'll also share details about all the next sessions with our follow-up email. But yeah, Alessandro just dropped presentation. We also will include it as a follow-up, but you want to add something? Go ahead.
There is a new question, and thank you for this. So very briefly, and thank you for bringing up eBPF, the extended Berkeley packet filter. We're getting very technical. I thought this was like a very philosophical talk, but eBPF is a great tool. We love it as Solo. We love it in Istio. Istio use eBPF wherever it's possible, wherever it is present in the cluster, to replace the good old IP tables routes. So there's definitely not a conflict there. There's a perfect synergy for what is worth. So eBPF is really the plumbing, right? So all the network interfaces are now replaced by eBPF programs. All the traffic flows thanks to this magic technology of eBPF. But service mesh is something else, right? So service mesh is built on top to do layer 4 and layer 7. So the layer 2, the plumbing, is taken care of by eBPF. As a matter of fact, in Solo, we do work greatly in the Cilium community. We love Cilium. Cilium is a network plugin based on eBPF. It is also a service mesh. There is a Cilium service mesh, which is a different thing. They're pretty much separate projects, and we use the best CNI. We think one of the best CNI on the market, which is Cilium, and we integrate with our product and with the Istio open source project as well.
Good. I noticed one more question at the top. How ambient mesh will be different from Linkerd?
Linkerd. It's a great, also great tool. They are a bit. So it's a great word when you get this plethora and the plurality of opinions, right? So and that's great about the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Is a big house where everybody can thrive and live and just exchanging opinions. So Linkerd did not, as so far, embrace the sidecar, the proxy per node model, and it's their prerogative to do so. We think it's a better model, and it will pay off in long run. Our prediction, my personal prediction, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think by next year, this time, most of the service meshes will be ambient once they reach GA. So check it out. Stay tuned. Lots of interesting things on the horizon, and I'm sure I'll be there. I mean, I'll make sure that I have front seat on these great innovations.
Cool, very nice. Well, I feel like I need to let you go, Alessandro, after 2 hours of speaking back to back. It must be tiring, but thank you so much.
Sleeping would be great.
Thank you so much for your time, for presenting to our community. Thank you also to everyone who attended, who asked questions, as always. Kudos for being active. We love to see you asking questions and good questions, not only questions, right?
Let me drop some links. So select.solo.io. You can catch me at DevRelCon in London in a couple of days, and next week at SRE days in London. And in general, like if you come by Amsterdam, I would love to talk to you, especially if we can talk about service mesh and platform engineering.
Cool. Thank you very much, guys. I will follow up with the slides and webinar replay, so that will come tomorrow to your inbox. But other than that, see you next week. Hope everyone has an amazing end of the day. Hopefully it ends and the rest of the week.
Thank you.